The National Museum of Funeral History presents The Final Curtain Never Closes. I'm your host, Genevieve Keeney-Vazquez, the president and CEO of the museum. Every year during the holiday season, Wreaths across America honors our fallen servicemen and women across the United States. Karen Worcester serves as the executive director, and she joins for this month's episode. And perhaps the most interesting fact about Wreaths across America is that it wasn't something she and her husband ever planned to do.
Our family has always been in the balsam products business, supplying major catalog companies with balsam wreaths during the holidays. And this one particular year in 1992, we found ourselves with a surplus of wreaths. And my husband, he wanted to do something meaningful with those wreaths. We had about 5,000 wreaths left over. And he's always been patriotic. He loves the country. He's a great family man. He tries to teach our kids good values and always has. He recalled being at Arlington National Cemetery when he was 12 years old. He actually won a trip to go there as a paper boy. And it just greatly impacted him, being in the cemetery and seeing rows and rows of graves and realizing even at that age that was people buried there who had served the country. So we thought, well, maybe we could take these wreaths and a couple of the kids and a couple others and go down and put them on the graves. It was a long shot, but he reached out to a local politician, and she made some calls, and lo and behold, we got permission to take those wreaths to Arlington. So we got a friend who was in the trucking industry. He brought his truck up, they loaded up the truck, and away they went. Drove straight through to Arlington from Maine. And it took them all day to put out 5,000 wreaths. It was in the oldest section of the cemetery, which is a Civil War section, Section 27. But they found as they placed every wreath, they couldn't help but saying the names. It was very personal. And it wasn't like decorating. It was like giving this person a little gift of remembrance and saying their name. So it just meant so much to us and the kids, and for days after they got home, they would say names and talk about it, and it just brightened our holiday to have that experience. So we just decided that as long as they would let us do it, we would do it. So from 1992 to 2005, we went every year. We made the wreath special after that, but we went as a couple volunteers, some of the family, the local trucking guy, and we met a couple people there. And one section at a time, we went around the cemetery saying the names and remembering those buried there. So that was how it first started, but it wasn't until 2005, after the wreaths had been laid, that a photographer from the Pentagon happened to be in the cemetery for a funeral, and he took a picture of we call it the iconic picture, with the wreaths against the stone and the snow. It was beautiful. And they put it on their website, and it went viral. And we started to receive, by January of 2006, we had received thousands of emails, hundreds of phone calls and letters of people asking, is this true? How can we get involved? So it was kind of just a family gesture that people found out about it, and they wanted to take part in it.
You know, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I actually have tears in my eyes. I'm also a veteran, and I know what this means to me, that we never forget our fellow comrades and all of those who have passed before me and my fellow comrades. The thing that resonates with me the most was the fact that you would say their names as they are lying their wreaths. In our industry, we have this notion of what we call a second death. That's when you pass away, and then all the people who knew you have also passed away. So there's nobody left to come in and render you a visit or to pay a respect to you once you've been buried and gone. And that is what we call the second death.
Exactly. And we say that. We say the same thing. We say a person dies twice. The first time when their body passes, their life leaves their body. But the final time is when their name is never spoken again. The last time the name is spoken. And then they're not even a memory. And, the final curtain, as you know, should never close. These people have served and sacrificed, and their families whether they died, in combat or they served and earned that place of honor to be buried in a national cemetery or have that marker on their grave that shows they served. And it's important to the families that we keep that alive. And it's important to the next generation that we keep those stories and those names alive as it is to the family. Kids need to know that there's real sacrifice. So the program has evolved from listening to veterans and Gold Star families and listening to the needs of the kids and just, trying to keep their finger on the pulse of the country, because we do need to love this country. We do need to support the military. The 99% need to show support to the less than 1% now who are keeping us safe every day. Freedom is not completely paid for. It's still on the books.
This year, Wreaths Across America will work with 4,100 locations, and they're in every state. As not just a veteran, but also a relative of servicemen buried at our local national cemetery, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for this deeper purpose, one that goes beyond the act of laying a wreath down at a cemetery.
Wreaths Across America is an organization with a mission: remember the fallen, honor those that serve, and teach the next generation the cost and value of freedom. And we work year-round. We do so many other things. We have an incredible teach program that has been put together by a wonderful Gold Star mom, retired teacher, Cindy Tatum. And we have curriculum from preschool through grade 12 that's based on what we feel are the characteristics of the United States military. So we talk to kids through these lesson plans that we do in conjunction with many other organizations, like we work with the 50th Commemorative of Vietnam. We work with the Medal of Honor Society, Ike Eisenhower, Random Acts of Kindness, and many others, Rosie the Riveter groups, and people that have knowledge that we can use in our curriculum to pass on to kids about things like courage, character, community, responsibility, and things that they might not necessarily find otherwise. And those are free to download. They're downloadable at wreathsacrossamerica.org. They meet all the criteria for public school, and it's just an amazing program. We have a radio station that is quickly being known as a voice for the American veterans. We just got a shout out from the VA because we have over 30 podcasts of people who are doing things to serve veterans, that veteran service organizations, whether it's, helping them get help getting their benefits, or where they can go for help with PTSD, or even talking to families and how they cope with either loss or cope with living with somebody with PTSD and meeting their needs. We also have our MEE, which is our mobile education exhibit that goes all over the country. It started out small, but it's turned into a vehicle that's been in every state, and it's on the road 365 days a year, just teaching kids year-round. And it culminates with the laying of the wreaths, which gets an opportunity for them to have that personal experience. But we really feel that we need to teach kids to love this country again. It's so important.
In addition to 4,100 cemeteries hosting Wreaths Across America this holiday season, they're partnering with multiple organizations to ensure December 16th is one to remember.
We're very proud. From day one, we've worked with all other organizations who are like-minded. We work with other veteran service organizations, from groups as large as Garrison East to as small as a community who might be working together to raise funds for a service animal for a local veteran. And how we do that is with our sponsorship program. So as kids go out or people go out to get wreaths sponsored for their local cemetery, it's $17 for Wreaths Across America sponsorship, which helps us with these other programs, helps us place a wreath. But it also offers $5 back to any one of those other civic organizations. So it helps them in the local community to do any of these local projects that they're doing. It puts money back into the local communities. And to date, working with other groups, we've put more than $22 million back into the hands of local communities to do good work for people in need in their own communities. We really felt from the beginning that it would be disingenuous to have this mission and not work with others who had the same mission. And I also want to say that one of the other things we do is really give volunteers all over the country, and every single location, like I said, we'll have 4,100 locations. Every one of those has a volunteer coordinator, and they go out in that community and they bring together everybody in the community. It might be the American Legion, the VFW, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, veterans, and they bring people together in that community, and they show people that we can, at a ground level, work together for a greater good, which is so important. And it brings those communities together, and we get story after story of communities that have done just that. Patriotism begins at home, but then it goes to community, and then it goes to country. And we really feel that these gatherings at the holiday season, when so many who are missing a loved one, or, there are many, many families who will have somebody serving over Christmas who won't even be there for their holiday, whatever it might be. And that's one of the things that we're proudest of, is that we give people an opportunity to come together and serve each other, because there's healing in helping other people. And we hear that from our Gold Star families and our Wounded Warriors all the time. And one of the best things they can do is absorb into something that's doing things for other people.
Wow, that is truly amazing. And it's so nice to know that the contribution actually goes back into our country and our men and women who have fought for our country, who have served their time for our country and sacrificed for our country. I'd like to know when you begin making the wreaths, since you have so many that you have to lie down.
Well, let me just throw a little clarity in there on that we do have a vendor. As it so happens, the vendor is still the founder, my husband's company, that is the vendor, but it does go out for a bid every 3 years by a third party. Wreaths Across America is separate from the Worcester Wreath Company. It's a 501c3 run by a board of directors and volunteer executive director, me. So they put this out for bid, and it goes out every 3 years. And right now, up here in Maine, they are getting ready. My husband does still hold a contract right now. And they started about 3 weeks ago in earnest. It's about 28 degrees here. I bet you're a little warmer there. And so everybody's in the woods and picking the tips and, starting to make those wreaths and get them boxed up. I want to say a shout out to the trucking industry in this country. They deliver about 95% of our wreaths are put into trucks that are driven and operated by volunteers that deliver these wreaths all over the country, because we could not do this without them. The cost of delivery would keep us from doing it. So there's a lot of hands and hearts that come together. It's just amazing to see. And by the way, we're on track this year. We should lay 3.1 million wreaths.
The first time that I was introduced to the Wreaths Across America was at the Tomball Christmas Market. There was a VFW set up, and their main goal was to get people to sign up and donate a wreath to our local national cemetery. What's so special about this program is that you can designate where you want your wreath to be laid.
Yep, you go to wreathsacrossamerica.org, and then you can look for a location by state or the name of the cemetery. And if you don't find it, you can call in and we can help you either get that opportunity in your local cemetery, or even there is an opportunity if your cemetery isn't participating, to have a wreath sent to your home so that you can lay it. So we try to accommodate everybody.
And if you have a loved one buried in the local national cemetery, and I want to be the one to lay that wreath upon their headstone, how do I ensure that the local community won't beat me to that?
Well, you can imagine with 4,100 locations, a lot of people do things differently. At Arlington National Cemetery, which is the one that I attend, where we have sometimes 90,000 volunteers go through the gate, that's almost impossible. So what we do is we tell people, if you're going to do that at Arlington, to have a friend go and stand at the grave while you go and get the wreath, so that you can tell people. That's the simplest way. Some people, if you go to their page, if you go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and find the location, and there'll be information. It might say grave specific. In that case, you can place a wreath specifically on a certain grave, and you can always reach out to the local coordinator, because on every page there is a local coordinator that can tell you specifics about that service. All the services are on December 16th. There are some time difference We ask people to try to incorporate the noon time so that we are all doing things. I remember way back in the beginning, they told us that could never happen, but people just wanted it to happen, that we take pause. It's pretty amazing when you stop and think that Wreaths Across America Day isn't a national holiday. But 3 million people will take to the national cemeteries, the little cemeteries in the churchyard, everywhere on that day. And we not just will place 3.1 million wreaths. When you think about the impact of saying 3.1 million names and how healing that is. I'll never forget being at Arlington Cemetery one time down in section 60, which is where most of the more current burials are. And the wreaths had already been laid, and we noticed this gentleman, and he was kind of that stereotypical Vietnam-era veteran. He had on a leather jacket, and he was, he looked a little scruffy and worn for the wear, but he was crying. And so my husband and I went over, we approached him, we asked him, "Sir, are you okay?" And it took him a few minutes to compose. He says, "I can't believe that the Vietnam veterans got a wreath." And what that meant to him, that, after all they went through and all of the when they came home to not wear their uniforms and to be spit on, and to think that every Vietnam veteran at Arlington Cemetery got a wreath just like everybody else. It meant so much to him. And it just does. It means so much to these families down in Section 60 that are young families with little kids sitting on their father's gravesite. It means so much to those families that we take time at the busiest time of year to go out and embrace them and just let them know that we've got their backs and we appreciate our freedom. It's a very special day.
We're so thankful for the time that Karen took to join the show today and for their mission to remember our fallen veterans around the country. As we head into the holiday season, she has a suggestion we can all support.
I just hope everybody will join us, and I'll tell you, if you're struggling to find something to give as a holiday gift, we have a card that can go out. For $17, you can support our other programs, but you also can send a note to a family that says a wreath will be placed for your family to honor a veteran, and that's a pretty wonderful gift because it gives them an opportunity to talk about it and an opportunity to go into the cemetery as a family. And I think it can be a good tradition that means a lot to a family. So wreathsacrossamerica.org, that $17, you can mark off a lot of boxes, and we just appreciate the support.
Thank you for joining me today on this podcast, and I hope that you will share this episode and our future episodes with family and friends. We look forward to any feedback you have to offer by giving us a review on Apple or Spotify. And we hope that you will join us for a virtual tour at www.nmfh.org. And always remember, any day above ground is a good one.